Hello, buddy. Underperforming F1 drivers exposed. The results will shock you. Today's show is all about the underperforming drivers and the overperforming drivers using the gift of maths, probability modelling, and a helping hand of AI. We have the F1 Grandstand Driver Overperformance Index, and the maths don't lie. The results will shock you. Who's currently the best driver according to the index? I'm going to give you a clue. It's not Max Verstappen. This is F1 Grandstand. I'm Tony Craig, and if you are an F1 fan, you are in the right place. So hit the like and subscribe button now, join the community, and get involved in the chat. So let's get into it. So here we go. So this is the bottom half of the Driver Overperformance Index. All the teams and drivers have been ranked. Oh, it's gone. I'm going to bring it back. Here we go. Yeah, you want to see that? So all the teams and drivers have been ranked and have expected outcomes of standings for this season so far. Now, we cross-check that with the actual standings and it generates a score. A score of 0 means the driver is performing as expected, higher than 0, overperforming, lower than 0, underperforming. Now, I know that's a little small on your screen, so let's go to the bottom half close up. Have a look at oh, that's not what we want. That's what we want. Okay, so as you can see, the bottom half of the Driver Overperformance Index. Okay, so what we've done, you can't see the scores, but don't worry, I've got all the scores right here. But what you can see is the positions of the drivers. Oh, hello everyone in the chat. Great to see you all there. Hello, Yvonne. Oscar, oh, Yvonne, you're getting and asking who the best driver is. I am coming to that. You think it might be Oscar? You have to wait to see. So let's start with the bottom of the table first. Who is dead last? Well, dead last is Yuki Tsunoda. He is the worst performing driver. Now, his scores, his championship position is 18th. He's got 10 points. Now, the team's rank is 4. And his expected position is 7.8. So the mid position 7.5 and he's down at 21. So he has got a score, the worst score of minus 10.5. Remember, 0 is a driver performing as expected within their team and the ranks of the team. Yuki Tsunoda is minus 10.5. Poor Yuki. So let's get into the drivers who are of interest. So at the bottom of the table is Yuki Tsunoda. Then we've got Carlos Sainz Jr. Then we've got Gabriel Bortoleto. Now, I know he's been performing exceptionally well over the last few races, but remember, these scores are done from the start of this season to the midpoint of the season that we're in right now. So Gabriel Bortoleto, for the entire race results, he is currently the third from bottom and everyone's raving about him, but that's because his last few results have been excellent. So we will see the overperformance index change by the end of the season, but right now the maths don't lie. Bortoleto is 19th, and Yvonne said Lewis Hamilton underperforming, and you are absolutely right. Lewis Hamilton is 18th in the overperformance index because Lewis Hamilton, his expected performance was expected to be, third to fifth. And he's not. He's in 6th in the championship. So that gives him a score of minus 2.5. Obviously, that's not as bad as Yuki's, which is minus 10.5. The lower the score, the further off the pace you are, the further off your expected performance you are. Lewis Hamilton is minus 2.5. Here's where it gets interesting, I think, because Kimi Antonelli has had a really hard time of it. We've slated him, haven't we? Underperforming. But Kimi Antonelli's score is 14th in the championship, sorry, he's 14th on this driver over performance index, but he's only got a score of minus 1.5. So he is underperforming, but he's not underperforming to a horrendous level. So we think he's doing worse than he actually is. He's at a minus 1.5. And remember, 0 is expected performance, but he's a minus 1.5. So not quite as bad as you might have imagined. So again, in this bottom half of the table, we've got Lance Stroll, Lando Norris. Interesting one. Lando Norris, his championship position is second, and he is expected to be first or second. So his actual score is minus 0.5. So he is right at that midpoint. Lando Norris is performing basically as expected. So that gives him a score of 12th in the overperformance index. I'm just going to quickly catch up with the chat. Yeah, I will. Yes, Gemma, I will post this in the chat, the full table, so you can actually see it, all the results properly. But I will go through it all with you, and you will be able to screen grab it from the video. But yeah, Lando Norris, people think he's doing exceptionally well. He's not. He's performing as expected, which puts him 12th in the overperformance index. Now, I know a lot of people have been giving this guy a hard time, me included. Colapinto has been having what we thought to be a terrible season, but according to the overperformance index, he's 10th, which is right in the middle with a score of 0.5. So he is actually performing as expected. Colapinto is expected to be position 11.5 in the driver's standings, and he's 11th. So he's actually 0.5. He's actually up. He's in a positive number, which means he's performing slightly better than he's expected to. So that's probably why Flavio Briatore has said, all right, Colapinto, you keep your drive to the end of the season. He's performing as expected. So when we look again at the bottom part of this table, we can see drivers like Oliver Behrman. We're expecting, everyone's saying he's having a great season. No, not really. Oliver Behrman has increased his performance, but Oliver Behrman has got a score of minus 1.5. He's expected to be 17.5 in the Drivers' Championship, so between 17th or 18th, and he's currently 19th, so he has a score of minus 1.5. So he is actually, at this moment, on all the data of the season, underperforming. So he's not the best of the rookies, but we will be coming to that in the top half of the Drivers' Overperformance Index. It's fascinating, this. Okay, so let's take a look at what everybody wants to know, the top half of the table. So the top half of the table. This is the full table, so you might want to grab it if you can. That's the full results of the top half of the table. Now, I know it's small on your screen. I will be going to the close-up in just a second, but feel free to screen grab that table because this is the top half of the table. And I'm telling you, the results are going to blow your freaking mind. So, top half of the table. I know you can see the top driver there, so I can't hide it from you. In top position, Esteban Ocon is the best performing driver according to the Overperformance Index. And Pierre Gasly is second. Max Verstappen is third. Nico Hülkenberg is fourth. Hadjar fifth, the best of the rookies. George Russell is sixth. Alexander Albon is seventh. Piastri, championship leader, probably going to win this year. But again, this is off expected positions of what the team and car should be doing. He's only an 8 because Oscar Piastri currently sits at a score of 0.5, performing as expected. Liam Lawson, 9th with the Racing Bulls, performing as expected, and Fernando Alonso and the Aston Martin performing as expected. So a lot of these middling drivers actually from position 8 down to position 13, they're all within 0.5 or minus 0.5. That means all of those drivers are performing as expected within their relative teams. So let's have a look at a close-up of Oscar Piastri. So Oscar Piastri, your championship leader, and a lot of people's favourite driver. And let's be honest, he is having a good season. Obviously, he's out there in front. But because this is the overperformance index, what we're looking at is who is performing better than where the car should be performing within their respective teams. So Oscar Piastri, he's 8th. Championship position, 1st. Team rank, obviously McLaren, their rank is 1st. Expected position, 1st or 2nd. He's currently 1st, which means he's performing exactly as expected with a positive score of 0.5. But he's not the best driver according to the overperformance index. Let's have a look at the best of the rookies. Racing Bull star, Isaac Hadjar. Now, everyone knows he's having a great season, but this overperformance index actually proves it. So Isaac Hadjar is 5th in the overperformance index, championship position 13th, points 22. The team rank are only 8th. His expected position is 15 to 16th. So the mean is 15.5, which means he has a score of 2.5, which is a great score. It's a great score. So that's why Hadjar is in such demand. That's why Hadjar is going to get the Red Bull seat for 2026, because he is the best performing rookie, mathematically proven in the overperformance index. So well done, Isaac Hadjar, performing exceptionally well, outperforming what the team should be doing. And of course, everyone says Max Verstappen, the greatest driver. Well, yeah, he is. However, according to the overperformance index, he is only position 3. So he is the best of the elite drivers. But if we look at his actual performance, he is performing better than the car should be performing. Max Verstappen, championship position 3rd, 187 points. The team rank is 4th. Expected position by the team rank is 7th or 8th. So the expected position, the midpoint, 7.5, which means he has a score of 4.5, which is an exceptional score. Remember, the score of 0 is performing exactly as expected. Anything positive means you are outperforming the expected results of your team and car. He's got a score of 4.5, which puts him 3rd in the overperformance index, which shows, yeah, obviously Max Verstappen is a fantastic driver. But let's look at the drivers who are getting overlooked. Like, again, I'm going to quickly show you the overperformance index, the top of the table. Right at the top, we've got Pierre Gasly. Pierre Gasly as the 2nd best driver from the overperformance index, and Esteban Ocon is your number 1 driver so far this season on his individual performance from the overperformance index. I'm going to give you the stats and they're going to blow your mind. So let's look first of all at Pierre Gasly. And I've been going on and on and on about Pierre Gasly. What an amazing run of form he's having. Absolutely brilliant. His stats are Pierre Gasly, position 14th in the championship. 14th in the championship. He's got 20 points. The team rank is 10, which means the worst team on the grid. His expected position is 19th or 20th, which gives him a score of 5.5. 5.5. That's incredible. Pierre Gasly is having one of the greatest seasons he's ever had in the worst car on the grid, and he's not getting the credit he deserves. He is number 2 in the OPI, in the overperformance index. An unbelievable performance. But the most underrated driver that people aren't talking about is Esteban Ocon. And I've got the stats to prove it. Esteban Ocon drives for Haas. His championship position is 10th. He's got 27 points. The team rank for Haas is 9th. Their expected position is 17th or 18th. He's got a score of 7.5. And if you compare that to Max's 4.5, the maths don't lie. Esteban Ocon is the best performing driver in 2026. And it's no surprise that Haas have already secured his future for a drive in 2026. I'm going to go to the chat. Let's see what you're saying. So, Yvonne, Haas have an interesting team, and they do. And do you know what? I just said it a moment ago, but Esteban Ocon and Oliver Behrman are nailed on for the driver seats next year. Now we know why. Oliver Behrman has been impressive, but on the overall on the OPI for the whole season, he's not been the best rookie. He's showing more promise now over the last few races. And then we've got, yeah, I agree, Yvonne. Shame Alpine is a rubbish car. Well, they do have, honestly, they'll tell you themselves. Alpine, there's no more development on that car. That is the car. It's no good, right? They are the worst best constructor this season. Yet Gasly is the second best driver on the entire grid. Alpine, I've realised just how lucky they are to have Gasly, to be honest. So Pierre Gasly has nailed on his seat for next year. But I think the top teams, why are the top teams not looking at Gasly? Why are the top teams not trying to steal Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly? Those are the drivers who are outperforming all the elite drivers in worse cars, and we've got the receipts. We have the receipts right now in this show. So it blows my mind when there's all this talk about who's going to drive for who next season. Everyone's trying to get, Mercedes wanting to replace George Russell with Max Verstappen. Yeah, he is a brilliant driver. He's a brilliant driver, but he caused a lot of disruption in the team. The second car's never any good. And it just blows my mind that Gasly and Ocon are not in the conversations. How have they not been in the conversations for number one seats in top teams? I mean, it does blow my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. So it's good news for Haas. They've secured Esteban Ocon for next year. And it's good news for Alpine because they've secured Pierre Gasly for next year. And Max Verstappen, obviously, is making that Red Bull look good, sitting in third position in the OPI, the Overperformance Index. I mean, the shocking one for me, by the way, and we have to have a look at him, Nico Hülkenberg is fourth in a Sauber. So Nico Hülkenberg is performing exceptionally well. I mean, Nico Hülkenberg is actually fourth. I mean, that's why Audi were quite happy to secure him in the 2026 season because they're looking at the same data that we're looking at right now. Nico Hülkenberg, let me break it down for you. His championship position is 9th. He scored 37 points. The team rank for Sauber is 7th. They're the 7th best team on the grid. Expected position 13th or 14th. And he has a score of 4.5. And remember, a score of 0 is a driver performing as expected in their team. Anything above that is driver overperforming. Nico Hülkenberg has a score of 4.5. Hello, Live My Life. Nice to see you in the chat. Get involved. We are talking about the Overperformance Index that we have right here. If you spool back on the video, you'll see the full charts for the top and the bottom of the data on the tables. Screen grab it. You can have that. We will post it in the chat as well, so you've got it. But it absolutely blows my mind how people are judging these drivers without data. They're just looking at the championship table and going, well, look, we all know, we watch the races. I am not saying Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris aren't doing a great job, but according to the Driver Performance Index, Lando Norris is P12 in that. He's not even in the top half. Not even in the top half. Let me remind you of the bottom half of this of the overperformance index. I mean, it's crazy. It is. It's absolutely crazy. You've got Yuki Tsunoda, no surprise there at the bottom of the table. But the real surprise is Charles Leclerc is only 15th. He's driving a Ferrari, but he is not adding much value. He's not actually adding any value to the Ferrari, because the expected position of that Ferrari for Charles Leclerc, his championship position is 5th, the team rank is 2nd, and the expected position is 3rd to 4th. So he has got a negative score of minus 1.5, which puts him all the way down in 15th in driver performance for this year. I mean, doesn't that blow your mind? Obviously, Lewis Hamilton not having a great season, so he's down in P18 in the driver performance index. But the real surprises are things like Franco Colapinto, who we all thought were having the worst possible season for a rookie, is actually performing as expected, because from P8 to P13 on the index, they're all between 0.5 and 0.0 and minus 0.5. So they're all performing as expected in their relative teams. So it's only the ones really below 13 and above 8 who are really performing badly or good. So Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton, 2 Ferrari drivers, not bringing any value, added value, let me point out, added value to where that car is expected to finish. Lando Norris, P12. Lance Stroll, would expect him to be around P13, performing as expected in that car. Kimi Antonelli, doing better than we thought, where everyone was sort of saying he's having a terrible season, but it's actually P14 on expected results, because according to the index, he is actually, he's actually minus 1.5. So he's underperforming, but not in a crazy way. Sky needs to be, I like Gemma's in the chat saying Sky needs to be speaking about this more. All right. Listen, Sky do not have my man on the ground, Tubby George. And my man on the ground gives us all the inside news from the paddock. And he also doesn't have the eggheads at NASA that help us put together the F1 Grandstand Overperformance Index using mathematical modelling with a little bit of AI thrown in. But yeah, I'm glad. Oh, who's it? Live My Life. Hello, welcome to the chat. Nice to have you in there. I'm glad you find this interesting, because honestly, I'm not really a huge stats guy. But when I started drilling down into these stats, the picture it paints, Live My Life, it's really clear. So when everyone's, judging the big ones, it shocked me for a start. I honestly, if you watch my earlier shows, I have not been the biggest fan of Franco Colapinto. But now, according to the maths, he's actually performing as expected. And the other one that really blew my mind was, I knew Pierre Gasly was having a great season, and I felt he's been underrated. But the one that really blew... Sorry, that's the full one. You don't want to see that. Let's look at the close-up. The one that really blew my mind was Esteban Ocon, because we don't hear Sky talking about him. We don't hear Sky bigging him up. And to get a score of 7.5, his expected position on all of the data on where that car should be, which is position 17th or 18th, and him to be in position 10th in the championship, giving him a score of 7.5, making him, by a long way, by the way, that makes him the best performing driver of 2025 by a long way. And it's freaking Esteban Ocon. He goes under the radar. He just doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Ocon is doing exceptionally well. Ocon and Gasly, the 2 top drivers. So why... I want you to tell me in the chat, Live My Life, Yvonne, Gemma, answer me this. Why aren't these guys, Esteban Ocon and Pierre Gasly, being talked about as as future drivers in Ferrari, Mercedes, McLaren. Well, if you watch my video from yesterday about why Aston Martin aren't trying to get these drivers, you need to get into that because it's all about Adrian Newey and you will love that video. But these guys are being overlooked. And Gemma's saying, yeah, the stats speak for themselves. They do, Gemma. The stats do speak for themselves. And Yvonne, I agree. I feel that the mainstream media covering F1, there is a bias a little bit, right? Like Sky, all of them, Channel 4, there is a little bit of a bias towards the top teams, the sexy teams and the big elite drivers. And I do think they need to put some focus onto these mid drivers. Everyone thinks, oh, he's a mid. Everyone thinks Ocon, mid driver. Everyone thinks Gasly, mid driver. Because they're in mid cars, but they're not actually even in mid cars. They're in lower mid cars. And they are performing far better than those lower mid cars should perform. So those, and do you know, did any of you watch my video on the wet races? How I was ranting and raving about why we shouldn't be stopping wet races, and what they did in Spa by delaying the race just really drove me mad, because those wet races are when these mid teams and lower teams actually level the playing field. Because when it's wet, the advantage of the better car gets reduced and the advantage of the better driver gets increased, which is why we get those magical days when low teams win races and we get those magical moments, right? We saw Damon Hill do it in 1998 with the Inner Jordan. We've seen Jenson Button go from last to first in his McLaren. Like, there's loads of them. There's too many examples. So those wet races then shine a big spotlight on these drivers. You know, you see an Alpine get on the podium, or you'll see like what Hülkenberg did at Silverstone and get that Sauber into P3 and get a podium. Like, these are the days we remember. And on those wet races, it's a chance for the lower teams with good drivers to, one, show the world what great drivers they are, but they create those magic moments. And that's what this driver over performance index. I wish I had a shorter, the OPI, right? The OPI, the over performance index, the OPI shows us is that these drivers get overlooked. They get overlooked by the mainstream media. They get overlooked in conversation. And I think it's completely ridiculous. I mean, there are some that aren't a surprise, obviously. Yuki being the worst performing driver on the grid, that is not a surprise. I do feel for him though, because Yuki is fighting for his seat for next year. Like, he doesn't have a seat in 2026. Red Bull are not gonna use him. Racing Bulls are not gonna use him. The Red Bull seats are going to be Max Verstappen and Isaac Hadjar, and as proven by the OPI that we've got today, Hadjar is the best performing rookie, and he's actually in P5 from the whole of the driver OPI. So of course Red Bull are giving him a seat. Of course he's getting that second seat in a Red Bull. And then obviously we've got Liam Lawson, who's doing a decent job. Liam Lawson is P9 in the driver's OPI, which means, of course, he gets to keep his seat next season in the Racing Bulls. And that's why Lindblad is coming in. But Yuki, he hasn't got a seat. He has got the next half of the season, less than half a season, to improve his position in the OPI. He can do it. He needs to get a string of results together. But if he does not, if he is the worst driver in Formula One by the end of the season, proven by the maths, who's going to give him a seat? Yeah, yeah, Yvonne, I agree with you. Yvonne in the chat when I was talking about Esteban Ocon, I was saying how people think Esteban Ocon is a mid driver. I completely agree with you, Yvonne. He's not a mid driver. He is a top driver, as proven by the driver's OPI. Couldn't agree more. Live My Life. The first three drivers had a similar training as children and knew each other from that time. Live My Life, you are absolutely right. So let me talk about what Live My Life in the chat is talking about here. So if we go to the top of the driver's OPI, so the top three drivers, Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, and Max Verstappen, they absolutely did. They came through the ranks in a very similar way. The only difference between an Ocon and, say, a George Russell is the spotlight of being in a great car early in your career that Russell got. Russell did well when he was at Williams, started his career, cut his teeth at Williams. He outperformed where that car should have performed. Then he got his seat in Mercedes. He was a Mercedes driver with Lewis Hamilton, and he was keeping up with Lewis. He was within a couple of tenths of Lewis in a really good car. So all of a sudden, guess what? He becomes an elite driver, and he is an elite driver. But why didn't that happen to Ocon? Why didn't that happen to Gasly? Gasly, remember, did get a shot in a Red Bull. Didn't work out for him, did it? I think it's a right place, right time. And also, some drivers mature later. Gasly has 100% become a better driver. The first 2 years, like any rookie, made mistakes, bit erratic, wasn't a complete driver. But now, I think he's like 26 or 27 years old. What's he been in Formula One? Probably 7 years. A seasoned driver, and now he's proven it in an Alpine to be the number 2 driver in the drivers over performance index. If you put Gasly in a top car now, how well would he do? Would he be considered an elite driver by the end of the season? I hope, for Gasly's sake, that Alpine get their shit together and give him a decent car. The one good thing Alpine have got going for them in 2026 is they are running the Mercedes power plant. It's going to be a good engine. It is. So if Alpine can get their shit together for the rest of the car, then maybe they'll give him a competitive car. Now, that's the great thing about major regulation change in F1. All the teams come at it in year one with a whole new design process. And you just don't know which team's going to get it right and which team's going to get it horribly wrong. So there is a chance Alpine turn up with a solid team and a solid car. And I hope Gasly gets it. Now, Esteban Ocon is an interesting one because he's driving for Haas and he's going to drive for Haas next year. They've got the Ferrari power plant. They're going to have the Ferrari power plant next year. And what have we seen with Haas really over the last few years? They've incrementally got better, don't you think? Like, the cars have got better. And because a lot of focus now, because we're going to a whole new platform, a whole new era of Formula One, they will have been getting ready for this 2026 regulation change and this whole new platform of car for a while. Now, if they've got it right with the Ferrari power plant, there's no reason to think that the Haas can't. We're currently ranking the Haas at number 9 in the constructors. There's no reason why they can't get up to 5, proper mid. And if we see that, then they've got a great driver in Ocon. And they've got a good rookie in Behrman, haven't they? Like, let's be honest, Oliver Behrman is a good rookie. Yeah, that's funny. Live My Life says, don't forget to drink. Thank you. Is my mouth really dry? Can you... Hang on. Oh, I'm not sure that coffee's going to help. Don't forget to drink or breathe. Live My Life or breathe. But that's really what we're talking about here. Haas will have a great driver in Ocon. Gasly, great driver for Alpine. But those two drivers really should be in the mix for a better drive longer term. It's crazy to me when you look at the data. And again, George Russell, big shout out to George Russell actually. Out of all the elite drivers after Max, he's P6 and his score is 1.5. So I've talked about Russell a lot over the last few shows. And he is performing better than where that Mercedes should theoretically be on expected performance. And I've been talking about this. And that's why I thought George Russell, I thought it was a bit outrageous that Toto Wolff was flirting with Max Verstappen as a replacement, because George Russell has been consistent this season. He's brought them a Grand Prix win in Montreal, which that car only works in one specific set of conditions. The Mercedes only works on cool, dry days. Not hot days, not wet days, cool, dry days is the only time that Mercedes is effective. How many cool, dry days or Grand Prix do we have in a season? Canada. And they won that one. He won that one. But to be fair, he has... The proof is here. The maths don't lie. He is performing better than where that car should perform. Again, Nico Hülkenberg as well. To be P4 in the driver's OPI, Audi must be very, very, very pleased that they've got Nico driving for them next season in that Sauber. Well, in the Audi. Because they need a driver who can perform consistently. It blows my mind that Nico Hülkenberg only got his first podium in 14 years of racing F1 at Silverstone this year. Yet he's managed to keep a drive in F1 that entire time. Now, I was reading, who was talking? Someone was talking about Nico Hülkenberg, saying early on in his career, everyone said that he was as good. People were saying he could have been as good as like a Schumacher. They said this guy is an amazing driver. But they said he had an attitude which made him very difficult to work with. This was early in his career, that's all I'm saying. Because he was quite headstrong. He did what he wanted to do. And team principals felt like he wouldn't be very manageable. And that's what really halted his career of getting in a really great car. But there's no doubt about it, he's a good driver. And he's doing a good job this year. And with the Audi powertrain next year, in an Audi car, we could see a good car with Audi. I do stand by that everyone's first year in F1 is always horrible. Every new team, every first year is horrible. But maybe the Germans, Audi, will change my mind. Maybe they've got hold of that Sauber and they've seen something that I haven't seen, and maybe, I don't know. But they've got a good driver in Nico Hülkenberg. That's the thing. So the reason why this is important is because when we think about new drivers coming onto the grid in 2026, who are they going to replace? Which drivers are going to get the boot and which drivers are going to stay? Which drivers deserve their seat? Every one of that top 10, believe it or not, should be nailed on for a seat next year. Everyone. Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Max Verstappen, Nico Hülkenberg, Hadjar, Russell, Albon. Albon in a Williams P7. Albon, give him a shout out. He's got a score of 1.5. He is performing better than that car. Piastri. Like, the interesting thing about Piastri is he's at P8 on the driver's OPI, where Lando Norris is down at P12 on the OPI. Which also backs up my view that Piastri is the better performing driver and actually the better driver of the two. Get in the chat. Disagree with me. Gemma's asking me to do my Toto Wolff impression. No one wants to hear that. Get in the car, George. It's like, that's as good as it gets. That's my Toto Wolff impression. Yeah, it sounds more like Pirates of the Caribbean. I think. Get in the car, George. Yeah. Do you love it? There you go, Gemma. That's just for you. Yeah, you're right, Yvonne. Drinking coffee in this weather. I don't know why I'm doing that. It's because I do the show at 8 o'clock at night and I just need, a little bit of caffeine to get the energy up and pick me up. So Yvonne, I think Audi have already got control and we're running the Sauber name for 24 and this year. Do you think so? Interesting. So what Yvonne's saying there in the chat is that she thinks Audi already had their fingers in the Saudi pie for the last couple of years. Could be true. I do think Audi will have done an incredible amount of due diligence on that team before that they got into the sport. But you got to remember, F1 is in a heyday right now. Okay, we've got the F1 movies bringing loads of new fans to the sport. All of the new races in America are bringing a whole new audience because they were into the IndyCar and the NASCAR and they love their motorsport. But F1 never really cracked it in the States. It seems to be doing that now, and the races are becoming more of a spectacle. They're not just great races, but they're putting on a whole show, aren't they? The show is getting bigger. So F1's in a boom time. So no wonder Cadillac are coming to the grid. No wonder Audi wanted to come to the grid. I wonder how many teams F1 can actually support, because we will have 11 teams in 2026. I think we could have 12 or 13 teams. I'd like to see more teams. You know, there's other big names. I'd like to see, imagine Bugatti. Wouldn't like to see a Bugatti Formula One team? You know, there are, I mean, even Lamborghini. Why have Lamborghini not got a Formula One team? I know Audi own Lamborghini, but you know what I'm saying. It's a great brand. I'd love to see more brands in Formula One. I'd love to see more teams. I think people would appreciate it. I think you'd get more, I think you'd get even more engagement. But that's just my view. I think we can handle another couple of extra teams on the grid. But that is the mic drop moment right there. Esteban Ocon is the best performing driver in 2025. The best performing driver of 2025. Now, I don't care whatever you say. None of you were expecting that, because I wasn't. Were you? Be honest. Did any of you expect it to be Esteban Ocon at the top of the charts? Get in the chat. Don't leave me hanging. Oh, Gemma, I'm glad you like my Toto Wolff impression. I appreciate that. But yeah, I am absolutely blown away by the fact that Esteban Ocon is currently number one. Yeah, you're right, Yvonne. Lambo was an F1 team in the 90s. Bring them back, Yvonne. Bring them back. Let's get that Raging Bull on the, on the grid. I'd love to see it. But yeah, so get in the chat. I hope you've enjoyed my driver over performance index courtesy of F1 Grandstand. I know, Yvonne, that's what I was, and Yvonne just got in the chat saying that the max is 12 teams according to the current deal. Why is that though? Is it because there's only that the tracks can only accommodate 24 cars on the, because when you look at the F3 races, they have like 27 cars. So, or the F2 races. I don't know, but why is it only 12 teams? Can somebody get in the chat and tell me why we've only allowed, under the current regulations, 12 Formula One teams? I want to know. I want to know the argument for that, because I would like to see more. I really would. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but I don't know what it is. So get in the chat and tell me what that is. So yes, better than a tractor. Oh, Jem is talking about Lamborghini. Oh, James, you've just jumped into the chat window. Lovely to have you here. Late to the party, yes. We're just about to finish. Go back, rewind the show, and you can enjoy a mind-blowing show on the driver OPI. Oh, Live My Life has got in the chat to answer the question, why is a maximum of 12 teams? There's only 24 boxes, but surely there's room for more. I can't just paint another... So are we saying there's 24 boxes in the pits? Can't they just build more? I don't know. Oh, there's just no room. All the tracks have been built to those regulations, so there's only 24 boxes. Yeah, I don't know, but I personally would like to see more. I think you can have more cars on the track, to be honest. But could you have enough pits? I don't know. But thank you for that, Live My Life, for jumping in on that. I will get into that. I might do a whole show and I'll call it 24 boxes. Great to have you in the chat. I love a busy chat. You've made it really good fun. Don't forget to come back tomorrow. So thank you so much for watching F1 Grandstand. Please like, comment and subscribe. It does make a massive difference to the success of the channel. And honestly, it's very much appreciated. I will be back tomorrow at 8 o'clock with more F1 news. So please come and hang out, and thank you so much for getting in the chat. Ta-ta.